Welcome to the Thornton Review, the show designed with you in mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us. Gary Bubba Peters was born and raised in Pensacola, Florida. He graduated from Tate High School in 2002. He received his AA degree in business from Pensacola Junior College and his bachelor's degree in financial management from the University of West Florida. His career at the Escambia County Property Appraiser's Office began while he was a freshman in college in 2003. Bubba has over 20 years experience as a property appraiser in the Escambia County Property Appraiser's Office. He rose up the ladder with experience as commercial evaluator, commercial appraiser supervisor, and chief deputy appraiser. Throughout the years, Bubba has been active on various community boards, such as president of the board of directors for the National Association of Office and Industrial Properties, International Association of Assessing Officers, Property Appraisers Association of Florida, and chairman of the board and member of the Santa Rosa Island Authority. In 2018, Bubba completed LEAP, Leadership Pensacola Training. In 2020, he was a rising star in Weekly magazine. Bubba is a registered trainee appraiser and a licensed Florida realtor. In 2024, Bubba was elected as Escambia County Property Appraiser. Bubba and his wife, Jessica, have been married 15 years and have 3 children. Hi, I'm Pueschel Schneier, executive producer and manager of the Thornton Review. Thank you for tuning in. On today's show, we have Bubba Peters, Escambia County Property Appraiser. So Bubba, you've been on the show before, exactly a year ago, and
Yes, ma'am.
It's nice to have you back. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm Bubba Peters. I am the Escambia County Property Appraiser. I was elected last year, last year, November of 2024. Was sworn in January of 25 this year. So we're going on right at about 10 months, rolling into the end of the year, finishing up the final push for property tax bills that just went out. So we're kind of finishing up our things. I've been with the Property Appraiser's Office now for almost 24 years. February will be 24 years. Started in the actually as a student, and worked my way up to the commercial supervisor. And then in 2017, Mr. Jones, he promoted me to his chief deputy, and I was his chief deputy for about 8 years. So my responsibilities, they spanned from anything from personnel all the way up to getting the tax roll approved and getting our values approved by the Department of Revenue. So.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Better person for the job.
Thank you. Yeah.
We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Bubba Peters, Escambia County Property Appraiser. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to begin our discussion with Bubba Peters. He is our Escambia County property appraiser who was elected exactly a year ago. He's been on the show before, and he's back on to give us an update of the year. And I'm sure there's been some changes, there's been some upgrades. Probably the website, there's probably just a lot of stuff that we need to discuss. But so you were elected exactly a year ago. You were unopposed. Can you tell us about that? Like, what made you decide to run for property appraiser?
Oh, a lot of prayer, a lot of thought. Had asked my wife if she minded. It's just something that I've done my entire life. For 24 years, this is what I've done. It's my passion. I love serving the people. I love the appraisal industry. So it just really fit real well. It was just the natural progression. If I decided to stay within the property appraiser's office, it was the head of the organization. So it was either I run or someone else runs, and with that, you really truly don't know what you're going to get. So Mr. Jones had done it, my predecessor, for 29 years, right at 30 years, and so I was his chief deputy. It wasn't something that him and I had really discussed until within the last couple days, whenever he notified me that he was going to run and asked me, did I want to run? And I said, let me again think on it, pray on it, and ask my wife. And so come to the conclusion that that was going to be the best opportunity for me, and I felt that that was the best one to lead the organization.
Absolutely. I think the best person for the job needs to get the job. And you were a sophomore in college?
Freshman in college,
freshman,
yeah, right.
freshman in college.
Yeah, 18 years old.
Applied for the job and just worked in probably every department. You know aspects of everything about, and you're a real estate agent.
Yes, ma'am.
So
yeah, my real estate license and my appraisal license as well. So
you're the whole
real estate is it. Yeah, that's it. That's all I know. So.
And can you tell us about how the transition has gone?
Transition has went extremely smooth. I, for the last 5 years, have been very involved, in the personnel, those type of decisions. So I've been able to help assemble a really good team that was complementary to the team that Mr. Jones had already put together. So our agency, and not knocking anyone else, we're second to none. When you call our office, a human is going to answer the phone, and you're going to get transferred to another human who, if they at the time don't have the answer, they're going to take a message and they're going to find the answer for you, or at least where you need to go to find it. And we're going to call you back that same day, if not just to let you know that, hey, we're still trying to find out what's going on. So as far as the transition, there have been a few things. This year we added your trim notices, which is the notice that you get every August. We added that to our website, so you can navigate to your property account on our website and find your trim notice, which is it's the acronym for truth and millage, which actually gives you what your proposed ad valorem taxes are going to be. That's something we wanted to provide just to continue to show transparency. I know government, a lot of times transparency is where we lack, and so I wanted to make sure that I was as transparent as possible. We do now have a social media presence. We're on Instagram and Facebook, primarily to reach those that use social media as their primary source of information. We want to let people know whenever there's a deadline, let people know when our offices are going to be closed. We certainly do not want you to show up at our office and inconvenience you in any way. The next thing that we did is we're also open in February on Saturdays. We want to, again, try to be as open to the public as possible. We will be launching a new website the first of the year.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
because I'm so used to the ones that's
no,
there, and I know it.
and that's it. Everyone has always mentioned the fact that
just don't make it more complicated.
Right.
Yeah,
the functionality is that's our key goal. We're going to continue with the functionality. It is not aesthetically pleasing currently. It was created in probably 2003 or 4.
Right.
So it's not aesthetically pleasing, but we're going to upgrade the aesthetics. We are going to add some features, but certainly not take away from the functionality. And we just actually last week added the 2025 aerials. So those are available online as well. So it gives you a better perspective. Those aerials were flown at the beginning of this year. So they're going to be relatively new. The previous aerials were 2023. So those are some things that we've done in our short period. Also, we have every exemption that you could possibly apply for is online, including homestead, veterans, widowers, all the different disability. All of those exemptions are now allowed to be applied for online, which is a huge convenience.
So what exactly are the property appraiser's duties, and where does the property appraiser fit into local government?
So the two primary duties for the property appraiser is to value.
So there's two duties.
Two primary duties, and that's to value all property throughout the entire county, and also to administer exemptions. Of course, the exemptions are those that essentially reduce your tax burden. So those are our two primary duties. We have many more duties that we have.
Sure.
We have to maintain ownership records. That's the ownership through official records through the clerk's office. We do describe the property, with its legal description. We maintain those. We maintain the aerials, as I just mentioned. We also maintain the actual elements that the structure is made from. So insurance agents, banks, they all use our information. So those are the primary duties for the property appraiser.
And how do you arrive at the value? I know you kind of touched on that, but how do you arrive at the value of a property?
So there's actual three approaches to value according to appraising practices. The primary method is the sales comparison approach. That's the most common approach. That's the one used typically for single family residents, your residential properties. The second most common approach is the income approach. That's going to be used by income producing properties such as commercial properties, multifamily, your retail, your office, your warehouse. Those are income producing properties, as well as there's a cost approach. The cost approach many times is the approach that's used more as
rebuild.
Right, that's exactly right. You'll have your replacement costs new, and then you'll deduct out the different depreciation. So typically that's the most inaccurate method. It's the most accurate within a couple, 2 or 3 years of the home being built or the structure being built. But as the years kind of go by, the depreciation can take its toll. And so that would be the least accurate method. So for residential, though, we'll use the sales comparison approach. We use also what's considered a CAMA, which is a computer-assisted mass appraisal system, which is actually a blend of the sales comparison and the income approach along with the cost approach. So we blend all three of those methods. And so what we use that for is to allow us to appraise. We have 170,000 parcels. So that computer-assisted mass appraisal system allows us to appraise in mass. Typically, if you're going to get your home appraised, the appraiser will essentially narrow down to 3, 4, maybe 5 comparable properties. For us, we have to use all sales that occur, within the county, and our value is January the 1st. So the values that we typically are going to use are going to be the values from the previous year. So in 2025, we would have used 2024 sales data. This coming up year, January 1, 2026, we will use the 2025 sales data, rental data, vacancy and collections, cap rates. Those type of data points we'll use essentially from the previous year.
Do you have any control or influence over the millage rates or the tax rates?
No, that is a great question. There's sometimes a misconception that the property appraiser, that we're setting the taxes. But in fact, we are not setting the taxes. We're appraising the property. And one of the things I do want to make sure that's mentioned is the Florida statutes require me to be at 100% of market value, but then I'm also allowed to less out what's considered reasonable cost of sale. Typical reasonable cost of sale is going to run around 10%. That's going to include your commissions for the brokers and the sales associates. It's also going to take into consideration any type of expenses that the home buyer would have taken in with the survey, the appraisal, all those things, generally around 10%. So when someone buys or goes to buy a home, I typically tell them, they ask, what's my assessment going to be? Generally, I'll say, take whatever the purchase price is, as long as it's a true arm's length transaction. Take that purchase price, multiply it by 90%, and our assessment should come in around that figure. So that's another thing. We're not going to be at 100% or more, but no, I absolutely do not set the tax rate. That's the taxing authorities, your county, your school board, your city council men and women. Those are the ones who actually set the tax rate.
So how much tax dollars are raised in Escambia County
So
property value?
So total tax dollars for the Escambia County tax roll is around $465 million. That's split out with about $250 million of that being raised by the county, about $175 million of that being raised by the school board, and then about another $30 million for the city of Pensacola, and I believe about $13 million or so for the Children's Trust. So there's some peripheral, smaller taxing authorities, but generally currently it's about $465 million. We have about $30 billion worth of taxable value on the tax roll.
Okay, so Escambia County property appraiser raises $465 million a year. Is that what I just heard?
So the value
that
the property appraiser, myself,
okay, so
the value that we come up with, and those numbers are strictly based on market data. So the tax rate is not based on market data. The actual appraisal, the assessment, is based on market data. So I have support for the values that I have, but they will take my appraisals and they will multiply that by the millage rate. And so my appraisals multiplied by the tax rate set by the taxing authorities will actually generate what the actual tax bill is going to be. Yes.
And so where exactly does the tax dollars go? Where do they go?
So the services, and again, I don't want to swim, in someone else's lane, but the typical services that ad valorem taxes, because ad valorem is the largest reoccurring source of revenue for any municipality. And so those dollars would go towards public safety. That's going to be your sheriff in the county, your police, fire, EMS services, your corrections. And I said, like for the city of Pensacola, there's is fire and police. For the county, it's going to be sheriff, and again the EMS ambulatory services. That's public safety. On the also animal control. You have public works, which is going to be your roads, your drainage projects, the parks and recreation. Those are all going to be essentially encompassed and funded through ad valorem taxes.
So the type of ad valorem taxes, is that what you just described? EMT, fire, sheriff, police.
Right. So those all of those services, like I said, are going to be funded through ad valorem. And just a quick tidbit.
What type of exemptions?
Oh, so there's a litany of exemptions. We have exemptions that are considered for personal use. Those type of exemptions are going to be the standard is going to be your homestead exemption. There are also going to be exemptions such as a low-income senior. And the reason why I say low-income, many people believe it's a senior exemption. And so when you turn 65 years old, you automatically qualify. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. That exemption has a income limitation. Currently, it's around $37,000 for the adjusted gross income, and that is a household adjusted gross income. So about the only people that's going to be able to qualify for that type of exemption is going to be a couple who is strictly on Social Security. As soon as you start getting into any type of investment vehicles, anything like that, that's going to put you over that $37,000 value. So that's considered a low-income senior. There's also a long low-income senior. So if you've lived in your home and occupied it for 25 years, also being 65 years old and meets the $37,000 threshold, That adds an additional exemption, which of course reduces your tax burden. There are exemptions for disabled. There are exemptions for disabled veterans. There's also an exemption for veterans once they reach the age of 65 and also have a disability. There are exemptions for widow and widowers. There's exemptions for active duty. Those men and women that are actually away from their home can receive an exemption if they were to choose to rent their home while they are on active duty away from their home. They have that option as well. So there's numerous amounts of exemptions for personal use. There's also the exemptions for more religious organizations as well as institutional, fraternal organizations, nonprofits. There's a lot of exemptions for those type of entities as well.
Thanks for explaining that. I want to talk about homestead exemption and explain that. And also I want to touch on, or for you to explain, the Save Our Homes.
Yes, ma'am.
But first we're going to take a commercial break. Okay. The Thornton Review is a civic engagement show with a purpose to spread awareness by interviewing local elected officials, candidates, and professional leaders. This is information you won't get anywhere else. You can watch the Thornton Review on various outlets. Our website, thethorntonreview.com. On Vimeo, please follow the Thornton Review. On YouTube, please subscribe to the Thornton Review at 7810. It's at the Thornton Review 7810. Please like our Facebook page, The Thornton Review Show. On TV, WBQP Channel 12 and WBQP on Roku and Fire Stick. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Bubba Peters, Escambia County Property Appraiser. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to continue our discussion with Bubba Peters, Escambia County Property Appraiser. So thank you so much for taking the time to explain.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, sure.
So Save Our Homes. Can you explain, just break it down into detail and tell us what Save Our Homes is?
Absolutely. So I guess I really need to go back to 1934. Okay. 1934, almost 90 years ago, actually 91 years ago, the legislators passed, or shall I say, the voters voted for the first homestead exemption. Okay. That homestead exemption was for $5,000, which was actually at the time, we were just coming out of the Depression, and that actually at the time was the median home price, for the state of Florida. And so if you want to really look and see where we are today versus where we were, in 1934, $5,000
was a lot of money.
That was the median.
You could build a house for $5,000.
That was the median value for real estate.
Yeah.
Today, our exemption, the homestead exemption, is only $50,000. And I say only because the median home price in the state of Florida is actually a tick above $400,000, and in Escambia County, it's right at $300,000. So to kind of put it in perspective, where we've lagged with the property or ad valorem property tax exemptions, we're long overdue for some type of overhaul for that particular system. And so I want to look at, so Save Our Homes come about in 1994. So 60 years later, the Save Our Homes, really what it did is it put the cap on appraisals. It put the cap on assessments. So now the maximum that your assessment can go up is 3%, or the CPI, which the CPI is the measurement of inflation. That's the Consumer Price Index. So whichever of those two is the lesser. So for example, if the CPI is 2.5%, then the max that your taxable value can go up is 2.5%. If the CPI ended up being 4%, just a few years ago, we saw the CPI run.
What is CPI again? I'm sorry.
It's a measure of inflation. It's the Consumer Price Index.
Okay,
Consumer Price Index.
Okay,
That's right.
sorry,
And so it
yeah.
just measures
I
inflation.
probably should have known that.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah.
and it actually comes out once a month. And the Department of Revenue, they give us that number, and that number is always based on what the January 1st number is. But so that Save Our Homes, and honestly, that is the greatest benefit to Homestead. The $50,000 is about $750 in actual tax savings, which that is a lot of money. But where you really reap the benefit is in that Save Our Homes. And what it does, it puts that cap. So to kind of put it in perspective, let's say we had a $100,000 home. And the first year you bought it for $100,000. And then next year, the value went up by 10%. So now your home now is valued at 110, but your taxable value, let's say the CPI was 3%. So that was the max that it could go up. So the max that your taxable value could have went up was $3,000. So even though your market value went up 10%, your taxable value only went up 3%. So then the next year it goes up 20%, which was not uncommon. Just in the last 2 or 3 years, we were seeing values increase at 10, 15, 20, in some areas as much as 25% a year. And so you have your home value, the actual market value, that went up 20%. So here it is, it's at 110,000. It goes up 20%. So now, it's roughly 130,000. So you have a home that is now worth 130,000. In 1 year, it went up 20%. The max that your taxable value can go up again is that 3%. So it went from 103,000 to only roughly 106. And so, or 109. And so, no, it is 106,000. So your market value in 2 years went from 100,000 to 130,000, but your taxable value only went from 100,000 to 106,000. So the Save Our Homes value is that difference. So $130,000 for your market value minus the $106,000. That is that value that really starts building up and really giving you that tax savings. And in that instance, it's $24,000, which is almost 25% of your home value. And so what was great though is in 2009, we voted for what's called now portability. So portability actually used to, you stayed in your home, you lived in your home for decades, and you built up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of that Save Our Homes value. You bought your home for $100,000 in the 80s, and now that home is worth, $400,000.
Yeah.
And you're only paying taxes because of that capping. Let's say you're only paying taxes on $200,000. So you bought it for $100,000. It's now worth $400,000, but you're only paying taxes on $200,000 because of the capping. Now you have the Save Our Homes value of $200,000. Well, used to, if you decided you wanted to, let's say you wanted to sell your home and downsize, you lost that value. So there was a good possibility that even though you had a $400,000 home and you wanted to downsize, that you actually may end up buying a $250,000 home, and you actually end up paying more taxes because originally you was only paying on $200,000.
Got it.
So what it did is it allowed you not to be imprisoned in your home. And so now you can actually take that savings with you. And so if you were to live in that $400,000 home and you had that $200,000 worth of savings, what it would allow you to do is when you bought the next home, you get to take it with you. So as opposed to starting out, a $400,000 home is going to have essentially about a $6,000 tax bill. So the $200,000 home is going to only have about a $3,000 tax bill. So whenever you got ready to move, you used to lose it, and now you get to take it with you. So now, as opposed to starting back over at the 6,000, you get to take that tax savings with you, and so you would essentially start back at where you were at the beginning, or even a little less. So the biggest thing is the homestead. Again, started in 1934, $5,000. It's now only grew to $50,000. The median home price currently is $400,000. And then, like I said, the biggest advantages of the homestead is that Saver Homes cap, where the values are capped at that 3%, and also with portability, you now get to take that value with you. So it really gives a Floridian an opportunity to downsize. To essentially, when you're downsizing, normally you're going to be getting into those years where your income is more fixed. And so those are the type of expenses that you certainly do not want to see increase, and that's your property taxes, especially when you go to downsize and get a lesser value home.
Well, that's a good legislation. So does the Escambia County Property Appraiser's Office have anything to do with the legislation?
No, ma'am. The property appraiser. This legislation has.
You just follow the legislation.
That's exactly right.
Make sure that
The legislators tell me what I'm supposed to do, and majority of the time, it's not even to that point as much as the legislators. They decide on what ballot initiatives they're going to actually get to the ballot, and so really the people, the taxpayers of Escambia County, the voters of Escambia County, tell me what they want me to do. So essentially, I'm just going to do what they tell me. So in the next, I guess 2026 will be the next opportunity for some type of ballot initiative, and I do certainly fully expect there to be at least one, if not multiple, legislation initiatives or ballot initiatives that's going to be allowed and are going to be voted on in 2026.
To help people kind of save their money a little bit, because yeah, if you buy a house for $100,000, say 30, 40 years ago, that was a lot of money back then.
Absolutely.
And the house now could be worth $800,000.
Right. Absolutely.
And so they'd just be taxed out of it.
Sure.
So I have a cousin who's a judge in Apalachicola, and he has a gigantic, beautiful Victorian house. It's about a 5,000 square foot house. It's got wood wainscoting everywhere, and its price is valued so high that if he heirs it to his daughter as an inheritance, her taxes would be $50,000 a year.
I do not doubt it.
So she can't inherit the house.
Right.
So they have to find a way to homestead it to her at what he's currently at. Is there a way to do that?
No, currently there's no legislation that allows for.
Well, there's got to be a way to leave a house to your heirs where they are going to have to, don't have to sell it because they can't afford $50,000 a year for taxes.
Right. And so the unfortunate part about that is if the judge, using that example, if his daughter lived in the state of Florida and had also homesteaded and started building up that cap, that portability,
she could
that would allow her to bring that value over with her.
I have to tell them about that.
I don't know what, of course, the scenario is as far as his value versus her value.
He probably doesn't know about that.
Right. But, and that's one thing, when you come to apply for your homestead, those are questions we're going to ask you. Did you previously live in the state of Florida? Did you previously homestead in the state of Florida? And that savings is not just county-based. It's state-based. So if you were moving from Palm Beach County up to Escambia County, you would be able to bring that tax savings with you. Our office would actually contact the Palm Beach County property appraiser, and we would get the information that we needed, and we'd be able to apply that to your account as well. But yes, to answer your question, there currently is not a way that someone heiring their property would be able to also transfer their tax savings. It's all individually, personally based. So the judge, in this instance, his Saver Homes value is strictly based on
what
you know,
her
his particular situation
right.
is. When she inherits the home, then it will become her situation, which she may be able, if she lived in the state of Florida, may be able to transfer that Saber Homes value with her,
Yeah.
which would certainly reduce that burden some.
Absolutely. So yeah, so I need to tell them about that.
Absolutely.
So, what happens to the assessment and taxes when you first buy a home?
So in the state of Florida, when
Can we back up?
yeah, please.
So, speaking of homestead exemption, when you buy a home, how do you apply? And for homestead exemption,
yeah.
and do you have to do it in a certain amount of time? Is there a time frame?
No, that is a great question. Great follow-up question to what a homestead is. In order to receive homestead, you will need to apply by this year. It's generally March 1st.
Okay.
So if you purchased a home, for example, this year in 2025, you have until March 1st of the following year
Okay.
to apply for that year's exemption. So you bought the home in 25. Everything is based on January the 1st.
Okay.
So you didn't own the home January 1st of 25. So that's someone else's exemption.
Yep.
But you bought it, let's say, in February of 2025. You would be eligible for homestead exemption in that home as long as you're using it as your primary and permanent residence. You'd be eligible January 1 of 2026. So we will take applications for homestead year round. We do not want you to wait. Used to, you had to wait until January, and you only had from January to March 1st, basically 60 days to apply for homestead. That's not the way that it is today. So you have the entire year.
So they prorate the what it would have been without the homestead exemption, and you're still paying that until you get the homestead exemption.
So no, you actually get the benefit. So if someone did have the homestead in 2025, you would actually receive that benefit in November, if you will, November of 2025, when the tax bills actually come out. You would actually experience the benefit of the previous owner.
Okay.
So January 1, 2026 rolls around.
I get it.
You apply for homestead. This year, March 1st actually falls, I believe, on Sunday. So you have until March 2nd to apply for homestead. And so you'll want to come in here. Right now, you could apply for homestead if you bought in 2025. And so we could go ahead and get that out of the way, so that's settled. And so what you would do is any homestead that any Saber Homes value that you may have had moving from your previous home, we would apply that to your 2026 value, because your new value actually, it resets every time that there is a transfer in ownership. The value has to go back to market value. That's the Florida statute.
Right.
So if the assessed value, which is what you're paying taxes on, is $250,000, but the market value is $500,000, when you were to buy that home, that assessed has to go back up to $500,000. But then, while they're both at $500,000, let's say you had the Saber Homes, you had $200,000, your assessed value will come back down based on that $200,000. So, you'll initially start at the true market, and then based on what your personal situation is, it may allow you to reduce that value. But for those that are first-time home buyers, that are people that are moving into Florida, that didn't previously have a homestead in Florida, those are the people who the only benefit that they will receive is what that homestead benefit is, and currently it's that $50,000.
Okay. Do you have to apply for the Save Our Homes, or is that just automatic? If you apply for homestead exemption, you are part of the Save Our Homes.
So it
will cover you.
There is an actual application for portability, but you will fill that out while you were filling out your homestead application.
Is that only if you're going to move? You would need to do that, or if you are living in a home and you just plan on staying there for the rest of your life, do you need to apply for the Save Our Homes?
Yes. So when you no ma'am.
Okay.
So if you have an established homestead currently, your Save Our Homes, if it's intact, you do not have to do anything.
Okay.
If you were to decide to buy my home, when you come to apply for homestead the year after you purchase my home, in the application process, you will fill out your typical homestead application along with that portability application. And the reason for the portability application is it's to notify my office that Pueschel had a homestead over in Santa Rosa County, and she has now moved and purchased a home in Escambia County. So that just lets our staff know that we need to contact the Santa Rosa County property appraiser and ask how much Save Our Homes value you had for last year to make sure that we're able to port that over for you. So yes, there is an application, but it's a natural progression through the application process.
Through the homestead exemption
That's right.
process.
Yes, ma'am. And you can apply for homestead online. You can also come to our office. We have 2 locations. We have one downtown, and we also have one in Molino as well.
Oh, that's convenient.
Yes, ma'am.
For people at the north end of the county to go to Molino.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And during the homestead season, that is a very busy office for us because, to be honest with you, we have quite a few people who live in the lower part of the county, the more central part of the county, that would rather go to the Molino office and apply for homestead there.
Yeah.
But also, if you do not want to get out of your home and you want to do it in the in the comfort of your own home, you can always apply online at our website at escpa.org. Just navigate to your account, or there's a link right there on our homepage that says File Homestead, and that'll start the process, and you'll be able to start you an account, create an account, and start the process of applying for homestead.
It's also easy to pay for your property taxes. I guess that's Scott Lunsford.
Scott Lunsford with the tax collector. Yep. Yeah, I know you can pay online or in person for them as well.
Yeah. So you would pay your property tax at the tax collector's office. That's also in Molino. There's one downtown, and then there's.
So our office.
Are they in the same building?
Yep, and that's it. Yep, we actually share a building.
Yeah.
Where with the tax collector's office and our office right there at where the old Molino School used to be, the community center there.
Because it's really easy to pay online.
Yeah.
I prefer to pay online.
Sure.
My dad goes to Molino to pay.
I understand.
He always announces, I got to drive up to Molino to pay my taxes, but they live in Cantonment.
Sure,
so
sure.
It's very convenient for them, and he enjoys doing it.
Sure.
He goes in there and talks to people.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So you explained how to get the previous owners.
Right. And I do want to mention one thing is that many people, whenever you spoke about the prorating of homestead, property taxes. Right. So the first year that you buy the home, you're going to get the benefit. Let's say you bought it in February. I own the home January 1st. You're going to get the benefit of my tax savings. And so what you want to make sure is as you are looking at your tax bill for that year.
Well, that's if the person had it homesteaded.
If they had it homesteaded.
If it was like a rental property and it wasn't homesteaded, then
it would be at market value, and the taxes would be very similar from this year to what you're going to experience the following year, all things being equal. But if you were to purchase a home, and I had lived in the home for 20 years, I have a lot of tax savings. And so let's say that $400,000 home is let's say a $6,000 tax bill property, and I'm only paying $2,000. You want to make sure that you are aware that $2,000 does not reflect your situation, that it really reflected my situation. And so you're going to want to contact our office and ask, hey, what does my situation look like? I lived here. Do I have any Save Our Homes? We can look that up for you and kind of give you an idea as to what your taxes are going to look like the next year. We also have a very good tool on our website called the Tax Estimator. And if you navigate to that account that you're wanting to buy, it will ask you a few questions, and it'll give you a little bit better idea as to what that tax burden would look like for that particular property.
So do you have any update on the property tax proposals from the legislation? Do you know what will be on our ballot next year?
So do I know what's going to be on the ballot? No, ma'am. But as of today, there are 8 proposals out of the House. To my knowledge, there aren't any essentially out of the Senate or out of the governor's office. Yeah. I know that they're already working through some language.
Floor, maybe, yeah.
They're working through some language. They're going to have an early session this year, starting in January.
Okay.
That'll run 60 days. But as I stated earlier, legislation. The property taxes. It's ripe for some new legislation. There are proposals out there that range from eliminating all local property taxes down to giving those that have insurance some type of exemption. And so I'll just kind of briefly go through the 5, 6, 7, 8 that I feel that are going to be pertinent come 2026. Starting at the very top, it is the elimination of all local property taxes. It does not affect the school taxes. And so the school taxes equates to about 40% of your tax bill. So that would be about a 60% reduction. And now that is on homesteaded properties only. So any non-homesteaded property, rentals, second home, commercial properties, non-residential properties, those would not be included in that particular legislation. And just to kind of put that in perspective, what we're looking at on a value side, if that were to pass,
That sounds good to me.
sure,
Because I think that property tax needs a reform. I think we need a
absolutely,
reform.
it is certainly right for
Because we
reform.
need to help people who've been in their houses for years. And these programs do help to
Sure,
a certain extent. But
right.
I think there needs to be a cap.
And I'll be honest with you, those that have been in their home for a great deal of time, they have received a pretty good benefit because of the safer homes
Sure.
and the capping. What the legislation is really wanting, the legislators are really wanting to look at is the affordability of housing,
Right.
and that's for those first-time home buyers. The first-time home buyers, they're looking when the median home price in Escambia County at 300,000. A first-time home buyer is looking at around a $4,000 or better tax bill, which is about $400 or so a month on their
That's
mortgage.
a lot.
And so they're looking at ways that everyone can benefit.
Right.
But that particular legislation to eliminate all property tax, that would look like I'd mentioned the county. It's about a $250 million ad valorem collection based on property taxes. And when I say ad valorem, that is according to value. That's Latin for according to value. So according to the value of your home.
Okay.
That's about $250 million. The homestead property value within Escambia County is about 35% of the value. So you would be looking at somewhere around $85 million is what would be taken out of that $250 million. So that would certainly affect what services that the county would be able to provide. The other one is a 25% reduction right out the bat. Everyone gets a 25% reduction. There's also the talk of eliminating the income limit for the 65-year-old tax exemption. Also making that all as well. So again, all of these are strictly for local taxes, not affecting the school taxes at all. So
because the last thing we want is property taxes forcing people out of their homes.
Absolutely, sure.
That would just be devastating. That would be the opposite of what we need to do for our community.
Yes, ma'am.
To
affordable housing is the next key thing that legislators have really been passing legislation on.
Once you've been in your house for years and years, it's paid off.
Right.
You still have utilities and maintenance and upkeep because there's always something that needs to be done on a house: plumbing, air conditioner, broken window. Who knows?
Absolutely. Sure.
Appliances. But then you're still paying as if you don't even own your house.
Sure. Right.
That's kind of rough.
It is.
On a lot of people.
Sure. And like I said, I believe that there is definitely some opportunity there for our legislators. So I would highly suggest anyone that has concern with that, which is going to be a great deal of people, please contact your legislators. Let them know, what you're looking for as far as some reform. So.
And also for the inheritance factor, like that, I judge.
That's a big one.
They don't want to sell the house, but they can't afford to.
Right.
But they might not know about the Save the Homes.
Sure.
So I'm going to call them and tell them about it, and they can call their property appraiser and see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll have them call you because you explain it so well.
Yeah, they're more than welcome to contact me anytime, please.
Yeah. So do you have any closing statements that you want to say? I might have another question though.
Yeah, sure.
So what percentage of the tax roll is homesteaded properties, and what does that look like regarding taxes?
So the percentage of homestead value is around roughly 35% of all of the taxes taken in. It's about 35% is the homestead properties, and that equates to about 85 million. So 85 million of that 250 million, if the legislation were to be voted on to eliminate all local homestead taxes, you would be looking at about $85 million difference for the county from that 250 to that 85 million. So
Do you give any type of tours of the
absolutely,
office?
yeah. Anytime anyone wants to come in
Like field
to
trip,
our
school
office,
field trips, maybe?
um,
Have you ever had that?
I've never had
If
that.
I was a teacher, I would ask for a field trip
Well,
to
our
like
office
property
is
tax appraiser.
we're we're a bunch of appraisers.
Uh-huh.
We have some IT. We're processing deeds, so not a lot of riveting things going on behind our
Yeah.
doors, but very important jobs and tasks. But as far as my last closing thing that I want to make sure is I want everyone to be sure that they get down to our office prior to March 2nd, apply for homestead. We will be sending out what's called the homestead receipt to everyone that has homestead currently. There's roughly 80,000, 90,000 people that have homestead in
And if
our
there's
county.
no changes, you don't have to do
You don't
anything
have
when
to
you
do
sue.
anything.
Okay.
It automatically renews.
Yeah.
But if you're a disabled veteran and you're going to be receiving, I believe in December they get their new benefits letter, and you're 65 or older, and you notice that your percentage has increased. You went from 60% disabled to 65%. Contact our office. There's numerous opportunities throughout the year that your taxing position may have changed, and we want to make sure that you get every bit of that exemption that you're afforded.
Okay. Yeah, that
So,
describes my dad. So
okay, yeah.
I have
We
to
want to
tell
make
him
sure that
everything.
everyone receives all the exemptions. Again, I do not set the tax rate. I'm the one that administers the exemptions, and I want to make sure that everyone in Escambia County gets every exemption that they're afforded.
Are there any exemptions on rental properties?
Currently, there are no exemptions. Now, there is a cap. So if the values were to go up, let's say 20%, there is a 10% cap on non-homesteaded properties. So there is
Okay.
there is a cap.
Really?
But that's one of the things that I myself and the property appraisers around the state have been trying to get legislators to look at. 10%. That is actually a very good year of appreciation. Maybe it needs to be less than that. Maybe 5% on non-homestead properties. So
Yeah.
to help those that are also keeping the economy going with commercial real estate that are producing jobs,
Right.
that are giving housing for with
Yeah.
affordable housing. There's certainly again opportunity for reform and ad valorem taxes in the state of Florida.
Yeah. Because my dad owns, quite a few rental properties and they're very affordable. He is like the cheapest landlord in Pensacola.
Sure, yeah, and
But
so
the taxes are, the taxes are the reason we have to raise the rent.
sure,
And also maintenance and upkeep if some houses need a new roof
right,
sometimes.
yes, ma'am.
And so if we're not getting it in rent but we're trying to keep the rent as low as possible,
Right.
the taxes really help.
It can
The
certainly
taxes
eat
are
into
low.
that profit. There's absolutely
Yeah.
that opportunity. So anything that again, if there's any questions that anyone has, I'd love for them to contact our office.
Yeah.
They
Because the
can,
property appraiser also affects tenants that don't own the property because the landlords have to raise the rent
sure,
depending on what the taxes are.
absolutely. And so our biggest thing is, and look, we are doing this in mass. So if you feel that your value is incorrect, contact our office. That is one good thing about the thing that I do is my values are backed up by market data.
Got it.
I'm not just coming up with these values with a crystal ball. The values that are being appraised and that are going on the account is based on what the market is actually doing.
Great. Thank you for explaining that. It's always a pleasure
Yes, ma'am. Thank
to
you for
have
having me
you
on.
on. Yeah, to talk to you, and because you know the office, you've explained it very well. So
Thank you.
the Thornton Review is on the air to provide public service awareness and intellectual infrastructure to our community. This show is made possible by Ida Gates Godly Teas, LLC, Alpha Fence Company, and our guest, Bubba Peters, Escambia County Property Appraiser. And we want to thank you for watching this episode of the Thornton Review. Bye-bye.